Have you ever been there? You're weeks into a diet, you're doing everything right, and then it just stops working. It is so frustrating, and you are not alone. Research actually shows that the huge majority of people who lose weight on a diet end up regaining it. So today, we're going to get into the real science of why that happens. Let's do this.
The first place our minds go is usually self-blame. We start thinking, "Ugh, if I just had more discipline, or if I could just try a little bit harder, this would work." We've all been taught to see diet failure as a personal failure. But is that really what's happening here?
Right? This is the story we're constantly sold. It's this simple, clean narrative that says success is all about willpower, and failure, well, that's just a sign of weakness. But this whole idea completely ignores the massive biological picture that decades of research have been painting for us. And that, right there, is the single most important point of this entire explainer. Your body has an incredibly smart defense system designed to protect you from what it thinks is starvation. So, diet failure? It isn't a moral issue at all. It's the predictable physiological result of using the wrong strategy.
So here's what we're going to cover. We've kind of touched on the willpower myth. Now we're going to dive deep into the science, how your metabolism actually fights back, how your hunger hormones can completely take over, and the huge problem of losing the wrong kind of weight. Then, don't worry, we'll pull it all together and talk about a smarter way to move forward.
All right, first up, let's talk about the invisible force that's working against your diet. And I promise this isn't in your head. It is a hardwired survival mechanism that's happening deep inside your cells, and it's all based on really well-documented science. Okay, think about it like this. Your body is like a smartphone that's been switched to low-power mode. When it senses a big drop in energy, which is your calorie deficit, it doesn't just keep running at 100%. No way. It starts to slow down non-essential functions to save fuel, because to your body's ancient survival wiring, a diet looks an awful lot like a famine. So how does your body actually pull this off? Well, it's a three-pronged attack. First, your resting metabolic rate, that's the calories you burn just by being alive, it goes down. Then your body subtly makes you move less. You fidget less, you pace less. That's your NEAT. And get this, even your muscles get smarter, learning how to do the exact same amount of work, but with less energy. It's a total system-wide conservation effort. And this table just nails the disconnect, doesn't it? The science calls it adaptive thermogenesis. That's a fancy way of saying your body is trying to save energy. But what you feel is that infuriating plateau where you're eating the same low-calorie diet, but the scale just won't move. You feel tired and sluggish because your body is actively fighting to burn fewer calories. So here's the bottom line. Trying to force fat loss with really aggressive calorie deficits is like trying to outrun your own shadow. It just won't work. Your biology will always adapt. The key isn't to fight harder, it's to diet smarter. Now let's build on that, because it's not just your metabolism that's adapting. Oh no, your brain chemistry gets in on the action too. And this, my friends, is where that feeling of just uncontrollable hunger comes from. Let me introduce you to the two main players in your appetite game. You've got leptin, which is your I'm full and satisfied hormone, and then you have ghrelin, which is your feed me now hormone. When you're on a diet, your body basically hits the mute button on leptin and cranks the volume all the way up on ghrelin. It's a hormonal 1-2 punch designed to make you eat. And here's what that hormonal chaos actually feels like. It's not just a little bit of hunger. It's a constant, nagging feeling that you're never truly satisfied. And those intense, overwhelming cravings for pizza or ice cream, that's your brain being flooded with these powerful hormonal signals. This is exactly why maintaining weight loss often feels even harder than losing it in the first place. These hormonal shifts can stick around for a long time. So the takeaway here is absolutely huge. You cannot win a battle against your own hunger hormones with willpower alone. It's just not possible. A smart strategy doesn't ignore hunger. It plans for it and manages it with things like protein, fiber, and high-volume foods that help you feel full. All right, on to our third major problem. This is one that so many people just completely overlook. When that number on the scale is going down, what are you actually losing? Look, muscle is your metabolic engine. It is burning calories 24/7, even when you're just sitting on the couch. It helps your body manage blood sugar, and it's what gives you that strong, defined shape. Losing muscle is seriously one of the worst things you can do for long-term fat loss because it directly slows down your metabolism. This is the classic skinny fat trap. The scale says you weigh less, which feels great for a minute, but then you look in the mirror and you just see a smaller, softer version of your old self. That's because you've lost precious muscle right along with the fat. And what happens when the diet's over? That fat comes back with a vengeance because your body's engine is now smaller and less powerful than before.
So the rule here is simple, and it is absolutely non-negotiable. Any fat loss plan that doesn't make keeping your muscle a top priority through enough protein and resistance training is basically setting you up to fail. It is not an optional extra, it is essential for a result that actually lasts. Okay, I know, we've covered metabolic slowdown, hunger hormones going haywire, and muscle loss. It sounds a little grim, right? But understanding why these things happen is what gives us the power to build a better how. It's time to shift from that short-term mindset of just dieting to the long-term process of learning how your own body works. And really, this is the choice we all have. Over on the left, you've got that old broken model. It's all about restriction and basically ignoring biology. But on the right, you have a modern, scientific approach that works with your body, not against it. It's all about being sustainable, strategic, and smart, not just being tough. So these are the 4 pillars of that smarter approach. A moderate deficit helps protect you from that metabolic slowdown we talked about. Prioritizing protein fights back against those hunger hormones and protects your muscle. Resistance training sends a powerful signal to your body to hang on to that metabolic engine. And finally, all of this is held together by flexible habits you can actually live with, not a bunch of rigid rules you're bound to break. I really want you to let this sink in for a second. If your diets have failed in the past, it is not because you failed. It's because the diet itself was designed to fail. It was asking your body to do something that millions of years of evolution have hardwired it to resist. The entire game changes the moment you stop fighting your body and you start trying to understand it. It's the difference between trying to swim upstream against a powerful current versus learning how to use that current to get exactly where you want to go. And that is our core message here, always. Knowledge is the most powerful tool you have. When you learn the facts, when you understand the science, you can finally reach your goals in a way that actually lasts. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Maybe it's just adding a bit more protein to your breakfast to help manage hunger. Or maybe it's swapping out a punishing cardio session for some strength training to protect your muscle. What is one small step you can take today to start aligning your actions with your biology? Thanks for watching.